Hi. So in this video, I'm going to go over a little bit more into programming and why it's so important and how we go about reprogramming. Sometimes it's when we're starting to gravitate more towards an ideal. That's when we realize that another one wasn't working for us. You know, sometimes we don't know which one isn't working for us until there's an opposite one that works for us more. And we're like, yeah, that resonates with me way more, but it's the opposite of the way I was told to do things. And so one book that I just absolutely love, and it's really popular right now, is The Four Agreements. This talks a little bit deeper about what it means. You know, agreements is his word for programming. I kind of like his word better. But they're interchangeable. And so I'll break it down real quickly. He says it in such a nice way, what I was saying in the last video about programming. A little excerpt right here. Prelude to a Dream. This is page 21 if you decide to get this book. And it's, let's see. Prelude to a New Dream. There are thousands of agreements you have made with yourself, with other people, with your dream of life, with God, with society, with your parents, with your spouse, with your children. But the most important agreements are the ones you made with yourself. In these agreements, you tell yourself who you are, what you feel, what you believe, and how you behave. The result is what you call your personality. In these agreements, you say, this is what I am. This is what I believe. I can do certain things, and some things I cannot do. This is reality. That is fantasy. This is possible. This is impossible. One single agreement is not such a problem, but we have many agreements that make us suffer, that make us fail in life. If you want to live a life of joy and fulfillment, you have to find the courage to break through those agreements that are fear-based and claim your personal power. The agreements that come from fear require us to expend a lot of energy. But the agreements that come from love help us to conserve energy and even gain extra energy. This is beautiful because if we're going to stay on our trajectory that's right for our spirit, that's right for our soul, it's easy. It's easy. When we start to go downstream, instead of going against the current, going against things, pushing against the resistance, when we start to just say, you know what, this is what my spirit wants, this is what my heart wants, you know, so be it. Things start to get easier. It's just the initial part, which is this 6-week program. It's the initial part that's like uncomfortable because we have to set those boundaries. We have to let people know, hey, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm following my heart. And most people don't know what that even means, you know? So, but we gain our personal power back. We have more energy to spend on the things that bring us pure joy. And not only do they bring us pure joy, they bring us abundance. They bring us love. They bring us whatever our definition of abundance is. You know, for me, I heard a quote recently. It was from Bashar. He says the definition of abundance is having what you want and when you want it. Right then and there. It was something along, it's not the exact quote, but it's that so true. You're able to do what you want when you want to because you have the means to do so. That's abundance. It doesn't mean having $3 million in your bank account, but it could to someone else, you know. For me, I've been living an abundant life ever since I've learned certain things. And a lot of what I learned was that I can't be a people pleaser. I can't please everybody. I'm going to have to learn to listen to myself and my soul and my higher self and the universe and what God wants, you know. But 99.9% of the time, what God wants, we want, is just at first, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because we're so programmed. We're so used to going with the flow of this paradigm that it's uncomfortable when we have to do. And what's crazy is sometimes it seems like, well, I feel like I'm doing the wrong thing, but it's like, no, you're not. You're following your heart. You're following your intuition. That's not the wrong thing. It's never the wrong thing. Your intuition always knows what's best, what's for the greater good. So when I say greater good, right, you know, the next few days it might be, oh God, what did I do? But it's like, but no, your initial feeling was to do something that might have been against something that was initially programmed, or you thought was an agreement, but it's not, you know. So anyway, The 4 agreements are, I love this. Be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. That's agreement number 1. Agreement number 2. Don't take anything personally. This is a good one because I'm so good at that. I was. Now I don't anymore. Someone says something and it's just like, okay. Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. That's agreement number 2. Don't take anything personally. Agreement number 3. Don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. That's amazing. Don't make assumptions. This is hard. This is still hard for me, communicating, what I really want and need. Assertiveness, throat chakra. Still working on it. Okay, so, I've come a long way. I used to be able to not even talk on camera. So, always do your best. I love this one too, and that's one of the things I have hung in my house. Always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best, and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. This definitely goes hand in hand with speaking integrity, because that's being in your integrity. When you're doing your best, that's being in your integrity. You're doing the best you can with what you have and with what you know. So that's also what you have. You have knowledge, you have wisdom, and if you don't have it, you're still operating in integrity because you're doing the best with what you have. So that completely removes fear of judgment. It completely removes it. And this is what helped me with anxiety. I don't have anxiety anymore unless it comes from something I physically consume, like eat or drink. That's when I get anxiety now, because frequency. But when we're operating in integrity and we speak with integrity and we are doing our best, what's there to be anxious about? Why do we care if someone's judgmental? If they're judgmental, that's literally their problem. It's not our problem because we're doing our best. Sorry. So, sorry, not sorry, So yeah, for when it comes to reprogramming, this is a great place to start. He has a whole bunch of books. This is a set. Let's see, we've got The Voice of Knowledge and The Mastery of Love. And then for me, this won't be for everyone. I know some people have a little bit of fear around tarot and oracle decks, but to me, they're personal growth decks. They really are. They are all about discovering. They're all about self-discovery. For me, I surround myself with positive oracle cards, like right here, just if I need a positive affirmation for the day, I just pick a card. And, it's not for everybody. I get it. But but I'm just saying there's so many tools out there. They're everywhere. And it's just about what you surround yourself with. There's also mindfulness cards. These aren't tarot or oracle, but they're mindfulness cards. Sorry, it's my settings on my phone, but meditation, unplug, breathe, intuition, and those are just the sections. And so each area has several different topics or tips for the day. There's apps out there. There's all kinds of tools. But let's just pick one for. I trust that my intuition is always leading me in the right direction. Oh, no point in that. Yeah, I trust that my intuition is always leading me in the right direction. This has 52 cards in it, and it's funny that I was just talking about my intuition leading me in the right direction. And it's true, because when you have integrity plus intuition plus wisdom, the sky's the limit, and abundance is the only way. It has no choice. The universe has no option but to just, here you go. You're nailing it. You're getting it. We came here to live our purpose. And when we aren't living our purpose, usually it's because we got caught up in the happenings around us. We got too caught up with work, too caught up with social agreements, too caught up in something that wasn't to do with our personal alignment, with our purpose, our soul's purpose. And when we stay off course for too long, it gets very uncomfortable. And so that's where, we just, once people know that you're on a mission, it's contagious, and it's beautiful. And you'll start to grow in so many ways that it's impossible for people not to notice it and want to know what you're doing. And that's a wonderful opportunity to share with them. Once we know about these tools that helped us, this is all about co-creation. It's all about helping each other out, living a life in integrity and really not in competition. This isn't a competition. This is like a huge, our life is a school. The planet Earth is a school. It's a place to learn, grow, expand, and evolve. And if we aren't doing those things, life becomes painful. Life becomes uncomfortable. And so reprogramming our mind is step one. That's just one of the first things we want to do when we realign with our purpose is sift through what works for us and what doesn't, and really, really just start swimming in it and submerging in it, and just enjoy the deliciousness of it, which was impossible for me if I was drinking. Because you might read something, you might pick up a book, but it's not gonna stay. It's not, the retention isn't there. So that's why most people struggle with the application process of anything, is because they'll have a good intention, but they don't have the energy to deliver it. They don't have the energy to apply it to their life. And so there's no seeds planted. There's no cultivation. And that's why when we change our trajectory, it's important to have set certain routines in place, and start to see what you're drawn to truly, not what mainstream is telling, Oprah's favorite book. Actually, Oprah's pretty cool, but I'm just saying, it's not always going to be what's popular. It's about what your soul is called to, what you want. It might be a book about old trucks. I don't know, whatever it is, but what I've learned on this journey is so many people are, first of all, asleep, without realizing they're asleep. And two, they really don't realize why we're here as human beings. And that's what we should be submerging ourselves in, is why we're here. Why we're here. Why is the human race here? How did the universe evolve anyway? Where did it all start, And with the law of attraction is, this is just preschool, when it comes to the universe and the mass, the vastness of and the complexities, but also the simplicity of the universe. The only thing the universe wants is to learn from itself and from us. And so if we're not out expressing ourselves and enjoying life, then it's literally saying, no, seriously, go enjoy life. Go enjoy life. But not in a superficial way, in an authentic way. And so that's what's so important, is creating this baseline so we can have the capacity to step into our authenticity. Because before, if we're living in too much of the 3D, we're like puppets, we can't truly be ourselves, and blossom and glow and, re-find our sense of humor and our vigor and our, just our libido, just all kinds of stuff, our mojo, our groove. That is what we need to find. And if we've lost it, that just means we lost ourselves. We recaged our spirit, and it's time to let that thing out. So, this program is all about that. And if there's anything, that maybe there's a lot to it. It takes a long time to reprogram and to see what works for you and what doesn't anymore. But it's fun. It's so much fun if you allow it to be. We get so caught up that we forget why we're even here. It's not to do our taxes. It's not that's just like the tiniest little thing. Those types of things become easy when we're always staying 10 steps ahead of everything, which means we minimize how much we get caught up, and we maximize on wisdom. We maximize on self-care. We maximize on unadulterated joy, pure fun. That's what life is all about. Play with animals, play with children, go roller skating, go fishing, go hiking, go swimming, go, draw, sing, dance, drum, play guitar, go dancing, just that is what life is truly about, and then that cup will just fill. And that's the time that we can indulge, truly indulge. But what's great is when we reset and stabilize our dopamine, that is when the small things become indulgent anyway. This just like sitting outside and like basking in the sun, that's a dopamine release. When before, it's not, because we don't our tolerance is so high that we need to reach for outside of ourselves for superficial substances to create that superficial high. When we bring it all the way back down to where it's stabilized and natural, then the small things in life will bring us joy, and it'll give us a dopamine release. There's times where, think about it, if you haven't had cheese in like a month and then you go to have a piece of cheese, it's like, oh, this is wonderful. It tastes better, and it's just, or imagine yourself, what if you were, stuck somewhere and you couldn't have some of the simple things in life that really brought you joy. That's wherever you were was stabilizing your dopamine. So when you come back, it's like, oh my gosh, all these things I took for granted. And that's literally what we're doing when we're reaching outside ourselves for too long. We take everything for granted. Nothing is significant anymore. Nothing's beautiful anymore. We miss out on the deliciousness of life when we get caught up and our dopamine levels are all wonky, and we have, we overindulge no matter what your poison is, and that's why we detox. That's why there's so many reasons why we detox, but that's a big one, is to reset that. We need to reset that, and from time to time. That's, it's all about leveling up. Whenever we feel a little stagnant, it's like, okay, it's time to detox and recalibrate my baseline, and then figure out what I'm drawn to then, Anyway, I hope this video brought a little bit of encouragement to just dive into, just be a little kid, whatever you're interested when you're a little boy or girl, whatever it was, revisit it, revisit those things. Today I went to the bookstore, sometimes I like to just go to the grocery store and just be like, oh my gosh, I forgot, like the fruit roll-ups, like just little things like those little things we overlooked because we were so caught up. Our mind was so focused on all the things that really don't matter, but we think are so important. They're not. When we're so caught up, we miss all these little goodies everywhere, the innocent, wholesome goodness that's all around us all the time. And so, like today a glass of wine sounds nice. I'm still unsure, but I feel like everything's in balance. My bills are paid, my taxes are in the mail, it's like, and we do need balance. We do need a little indulgence. We need to make sure we're always balancing our feminine and masculine energies. The masculine wants to go, think of hunting and going and, fighting in a war and attack, and then the feminine energies about gathering and cultivating and being in tune with who needs nurturing right now. It's about allowing things to flow in, and so it's about keeping that in balance. If we're always like this, then we don't have a chance to really like just enjoy the energy, just sit with it, Anyway, I think that's enough for right now. But anyway, have fun selecting the different things that you're called to reprogram And the reprogramming isn't necessarily like I'm programming myself. No, it's more about knowing what resonates with you, and it's probably things that you've always been interested in, and ideals that you've always thought were true, or philosophies of life you've always wanted to practice, but it was against the grain. It was against what everyone else was doing. Those are the things. Now it's time to stand in your power. Be like, no, I like to do it this way. I want to do it this way. I've denied myself for X amount of years, and now I want to do it this way. I'm doing it my way now, and that's what I still have to do. It's a practice, and it's something that the thing is now we're always going to be learning. We're always going to be learning. 30 years from now, I still won't, call myself any label, because it's like, I'm a student of the universe. I'll always be a student of the universe. There's so much to learn, and it never gets boring. It never gets dull, because as we learn about the universe and as we learn about ourselves, the easier life becomes. And that's all about self-mastery. And when we master ourselves, the universe has no choice but to provide for us an abundant life. Thank you.